is planned. And
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The Indianapolis Colts play football today. I don't care that it's the preseason. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. Chris has had to deal with me talking about it for like the last 30 minutes. I'm just like, I'm antsy. I'm ready for the game tonight. I'm ready to sit on the couch with the notepad, take notes on the 53rd player on the Indianapolis Colts roster. I'm so excited to watch the Colts play football tonight, and I think it's going to be fantastic. Hopefully you're excited. The game is on Fox 59 tonight, and I'm fired up. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can also watch the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. We got Destin Adams joining the show here in about 20 minutes. We'll talk Colts, Patriots tonight. Zach Pereles joining the show at 2. We'll talk about the entire preseason week 1 in general. I think tonight the thing that people are going to be paying attention to the most is the backup quarterback battle, because anytime there's the words quarterback battle are involved, that tends to be what grabs people's attention. And I've talked a little bit this week about what I want to see from Riley Leonard and what I want to see from Anthony Richardson tonight and, throughout the rest of the preseason. I want Riley Leonard to look like he has firm control of the offense. I want him to not look like a rookie. I want him to look comfortable. And I want Anthony Richardson to make the simple plays look simple. That is always the thing that has held him back. Everybody understands that. I also want to see him play with an edge. One of the things that athletes and coaches say nowadays that honestly just makes me sick is when they talk about playing with joy. I really felt like we played with joy today. I just want to get my joy back. I think that's nonsense. I don't really understand why they say that. Tom Brady did not play with joy. He played with an edge. Peyton Manning did not play with joy. He played with an edge. Do you think Michael Jordan played with joy? Absolutely not. He played with an edge. Okay? The best athletes, people that are successful, play with an edge and a chip on their shoulder. Anthony Richardson needs to play with a chip on his shoulder tonight. That's something that can bring out the absolute best in you. My boss and I were having a conversation last week, and he looked at me and he said, Jonathan, don't take this the wrong way, but do you have a chip on your shoulder? And the answer is yes. I can still hear my mom telling me as a child to, quote, get that chip off your shoulder. She usually said it to me after I lost at something and I got upset. And the reason for this is I have an older brother We're 14 months apart to the day. And because of this, we were always on the same team, meaning that I always had to play up. So, like, baseball was our big thing. And, like, usually 11 and 12-year-olds play in the same league. I was 10 having to play with guys that were older than me. And because of that, I was always, like the least developed kid on every team I ever really played on. I was smaller than everybody. And because of that, my brother was better than me at stuff, and it sucked. There's just nothing worse. I'll never forget when he hit the first home run of his life. He was 12. I was 11. He hit a grand slam, and I hit right after him in the order. And our third base coach looked at the opposing coach and said, "This kid is going to strike out." And the opposing coach said, "Why?" And then my coach said, "Because his brother just hit that grand slam." I walked, by the way. But I did take the biggest daddy hack of my life on that first pitch high fastball. And then later that year, my dad and I, whenever we would go out to hit baseball, and my brother as well, there was a field that we always went to. And we get out there. My brother hits a round. He hits like 4 homers. He's just jacking the ball, right? So I step up to the plate for my round, and I can't get it over the wall. Everything is going off the top of the fence. I'm getting pretty upset about it. While this is happening, there's a high school softball team behind the right field fence chirping me. I'm heated. I'm so mad that I leave the field in tears. And I remember my dad trying to calm me down, and he couldn't. And all of that came kind of from this chip that I've always had on my shoulder. And I wanted so badly to be better than my brother was at baseball my whole life. And I hated it whenever our teammates, because look, like kids just say things, when our teammates would be like, "Yeah, like your brother's just better than you are." And it would make me so upset. And I would have a pissy attitude whenever he played better than I did. And it happened a lot. But I would also argue that it played a large role in me getting to play college baseball. Like if I didn't have that chip on my shoulder, then I'd probably get complacent and just wind up as this average high school player. Anthony Richardson needs some of that. He needs that chip on his shoulder. This idea of they're making me compete for the backup quarterback job with a 6th-round pick. He doesn't need joy tonight. He needs to play with a little bit of resentment. He needs to play like a top pick that's being forced to compete against a 6th-round pick. He needs to play with a chip on his shoulder and a willingness to do anything to win that backup quarterback job so he can get out of here and get to a situation where he could potentially compete to start down the line. Does he have that kind of personality? I don't know if he does or not. I hope he does. I want to see that edge from him tonight. And I ultimately think that he's going to perform better than Riley Leonard tonight because, I get it. He's got this very, relaxed persona. But there's got to be some part of him that's pissed off at everything that's happened to him. He's got to feel at least kind of slighted. This is a guy who was the 4th overall pick to a franchise starving for a quarterback. Came in his rookie year, played in 4 games. Let's just be honest. Those first 4 games were electric. 7 total touchdowns. Colts went 2-2 in those games. There was this glimmer of hope after those first 4 games because he completed 60% of his passes and, to be fair, an incredibly small sample size. But going into year 2, there was real hope that Anthony Richardson could potentially be the guy for the Colts. And then the injuries happened, and then the tap out happens, and the inconsistency of his passing ability caught up with him, and they wind up benching him for old man Joe Flacco for a couple of games. They later bring him back, and he wasn't any better. That is his fault. But there's got to be a part of him, I would think, that has a bit of a chip on his shoulder of just wanting to prove that he can be a starting quarterback. If he doesn't, then that's not the guy that I would want leading my team. He needs to have this attitude of like making me compete with less athletic, less talented Riley Leonard, a 6th-round pick, to be the backup. I was the number 4 overall pick, and I'm about to blow Riley Leonard out of the water tonight. That is what his mentality needs to be coming into this game, because every quarterback needs some kind of an edge. All of the greats have that. Tom Brady never got over the fact that he was a 6th-round pick. Baker Mayfield is still upset that he's bounced around the league. I'm pretty sure he's still upset about what Colin Cowherd said like 7 years ago. He's never let it go. Peyton Manning was a competitive maniac who played with an edge. Drew Brees never got over the fact that people said that he was too short. Aaron Donald never got over the fact that people said that his arms were too short. Anthony Richardson needs to have some of that in him tonight, and I think he's going to. I think he's going to play well. It won't be perfect. He'll miss a couple throws because he's Anthony Richardson, and that's just what he does. But I do think that he plays better than people expect him to tonight, and we walk away from tonight's game thinking he's gotten better since the last time we saw him, because it's been a year. We haven't seen him since the preseason last year when he got decked by that Ravens linebacker. So I can't wait to see what he's got, because I think we're going to enjoy watching him play tonight. For Riley Leonard, I think he'll still look a little overwhelmed. He talked about this earlier during training camp.
Yeah, and I think maybe this camp, something I've taken a step further in is understanding, what the defense is doing a lot better. Obviously, when you get to know the offense for a whole year, you don't have to think about the little things, and it saves you. I mean, shoot, if you break the huddle at 15 seconds, I feel like last year, the first 8 seconds of that were figuring out what the motions were and who's supposed to be where. Now I'm able to save 8 seconds and really figure out what the defense is doing and get my eyes up. So mentally, I mean, this game, quarterback is all about pre-snap decisions, and I think I've done a great job of kind of understanding maybe not exactly where the ball should go, but knowing where it shouldn't go.
Riley Leonard right there talking about some of the progressions that he's made during, just kind of over the offseason and from last year coming in to this year. And it sounds like he's improving in the understanding of the offense. He hasn't progressed in understanding the defenses that he's looking at. Knowing where to not throw the ball isn't the answer. It's like a multiple choice test, like you sit down and, they ask a question, you have answers A, B, C, or D, and be like, it's definitely not C, right? So you cross it out or whatever. And like, that's great, but you still got to figure out which one of the 3 is the correct answer. Okay. So there is improvement there from Riley Leonard, it sounds like, but he's not all the way there yet. You could also make the same argument for Anthony Richardson. Has he progressed in that way of knowing how to read defenses and know what they're showing? I don't know. Hopefully going to find out tonight. But you normally, when it comes to, Riley Leonard's answer, like you still have to figure out what the answer is. And when you go into it, and like you said, so much of having success at the quarterback position is pre-snap, being able to look at everything and be like, oh, okay, they're in X defense. That means I'm going here. So we'll see how he looks. Okay. I expect for his night ultimately to be up and down, where we're impressed by a few things that he brings to the table. Like there are going to be drives where he looks like a 6th-round pick. That's okay. That's normal for 6th-round picks in year 2. But I think the hope is that there are also drives where like, wow, man, like he made, 3 really good throws there on 3rd and 6. He scrambled for a first down to keep the drive alive. So hopefully there's a little bit of like, oh, okay, like this is good. We can build off of this. Because I would be very surprised if there weren't moments with Riley Leonard where we're like, oh, that's not great. Okay. And look, he's not very experienced. It's part of why I expect Anthony Richardson to perform better. He's just the more experienced player than Riley Leonard is. And if Anthony Richardson, of all people, has more experience than you do playing quarterback, then you don't have any experience. It's the dude who's, appeared in 17 games over his career. And last year he appeared in 2 and didn't really do anything in those games. So yeah, there's that part of it. We'll see what these two guys look like tonight. Chris, how do you think these guys are going to look tonight?
I think you're right about Richardson having a chip on his shoulder. I want to see him play like he does have something to prove, and not be given the impression that like he's defeated. But then is he defeated, or is he just not the athlete that he was whenever he was the number 4 overall pick? You know what I mean? Is it like one or the other, and out of his control? So ultimately, yeah, I agree with you. I would like to see him come out with something to prove and actually prove it.
Yeah, I would like to see him catch the snap.
Yeah, that too. That's important. As far as Riley Leonard, yeah, same thing there. I just want him to embrace the opportunity that he has, and prove himself to be reliable if Daniel Jones ever did go down. So.
Yeah, and that's to your point. Like, that's really all that we're looking for. Like, can you be competent? Can you not commit the egregious mistake? And on 3rd and 4, do we feel like we're going to pick up the first down? Because I feel like with backup quarterbacks, when you get to 3rd and got to throw it, you don't really feel great about any of the backup quarterbacks. To be like, they're starting quarterbacks in the NFL where you get to like 3rd and 8 or more, and it's like you can just go ahead and punt, And so if we can just feel good about them in 3rd and short situations, I feel like we'll be okay with whoever the backup winds up being.
Absolutely. Those first couple Colts possessions, I'm probably going to be holding my breath, because I'm going to be like, okay, don't mess up. At least
don't
just
get hurt.
If we can just get to the point where we can punt it, that's fine. But ultimately, we should try to score. Let's go for that.
Agreed. Absolutely. So that game starting tonight at 7:30, I believe.
Yep.
7:30, Fox 59. I can't freaking wait. We're going to have Destin Adams, who does a great job covering the Colts. He is set to join us coming up here at 12:20. We'll talk Anthony Richardson, Riley Leonard, position battles, and so much more with Destin Adams here in about 3 minutes.
It's in today's sports world. It's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The Indianapolis Colts play football tonight, and I just couldn't be any more excited about it. Almost as excited about that as I am the Cubs on a bit of a hot streak right now. Joining me now, we got Destin Adams, who does a great job covering the Indianapolis Colts. You can follow him on X at the Destin Adams. Destin, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing well, and football's back. We don't have to talk about the preseason part of it. Let's just say football's back, and that right there sounds good enough for me.
I love the preseason. Probably, I would argue more than most, just because I don't know, man. Like you know that you're getting full effort from everyone on the field because a lot of these guys are fighting for jobs. So I'm all about it, man. Preseason, joint practice, just sign me up for it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I can get it. I mean, to me, like the version of football and the version of like game planning you're getting on both sides of the ball during the preseason is just so different from what these teams are going to show in the regular season. That like that aspect of me to me is like I always try to take everything that I'm watching like with a grain of salt a little bit. I actually think joint practices typically tend to be a more good example of like what we're going to see these teams actually do. But I mean, anytime you're getting to watch guys just battle for roster spots, I mean, I think that's always valuable. And I think the preseason gives so many of those roster fridge guys huge opportunities.
It absolutely does. We get to look at some position battles live as well, which is always nice. And I think that the headliner for tonight is obviously Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard trying to figure out who quarterback number 2 is going to be. What do you want to see from those guys tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to just show a sense of command of the huddle. I think you have to be able to show consistency. And I think more pressure is on Anthony Richardson than Riley Leonard, obviously, with the stage of his career that he's in and the draft capital used on him in comparison to Riley Leonard. But to me, it's been a rough camp for Anthony Richardson. It's obviously not gone his way since coming to Indianapolis. I mean, this almost feels like it could be the possible last start of his Indianapolis Colts career if it does not go his way. I mean, Riley Leonard's going to get the start this next time, and then Game 3 obviously is going to be up in the air. But you would assume that you'd like to see whoever is going to be quarterback 2 get the start in Game 3. So I think Anthony Richardson should treat this game as life or death in terms of his NFL career.
Yeah, I was talking about that to open the show. And when Anthony Richardson comes out, I just, I there's just certain things, Destin, that people say that like I don't understand. Maybe I'm just not smart enough for it. But like you hear a lot of athletes nowadays talk about like playing with joy. And whenever I hear that, my immediate thought is like, I don't feel like Tom Brady played with joy. I felt like he had like a more so an edge than anything else. And I want to feel like Anthony Richardson is pissed off at everything that's happened to him tonight. If you know what I mean. What do you kind of think from like a mentality standpoint? Like, where do you think Richardson's at? Because he's got a very relaxed personality.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know where he's at. I mean, I think that's a good question. I mean, where he's at mentally, where he's at in terms of the eye injury last year, where he's at in terms of just how he feels that this camp is going. I mean, everything that is out there is sharing about how bad this camp is. He's a younger guy, and I know he has social media accounts still. He's not one of the players that has like gotten rid of those accounts. I mean, he sees how many negative things are being put about how he's performing. So I think this is just the chance that he's going to get to be able to silence some of those things. And whether that is battling for the quarterback 2 job, which could be his main priority. But in my opinion, if I had to guess, being able to showcase yourself to land a trade elsewhere to a new setting in a new setup, which I think is what he wants as well as the team probably wants. This is that opportunity to kind of show a team out there that he's worth trading for. because on top of everything that's been going on, he puts the trade request in, and there's not been a team that's come out and said he's worth trading for. And I think that is a very big statement that he's got to have to find a way to prove.
Absolutely. Joined by Destin Adams talking about the Colts game tonight. I was kicking around this question yesterday. Who do you think is the better reclamation project, J.J. McCarthy or Anthony Richardson?
Man, I mean, better is a hard word. I
Yeah.
mean, to me, if I was a team out there and I had to trade for one of them, I probably would lean Richardson just because of the contract situation, to where it's easier to get off. Like, you're going to get off Richardson's contract faster than JJ McCarthy's at this moment. So because of that, I guess I'd go Richardson. But I mean, to me, I guess it's a preference thing in turn. Like, they're both in a similar setup. They've both not been able to play up to their draft status. I think Richardson's had more positive moments than McCarthy, whereas McCarthy's wins that he's had have been like despite his performances, whereas Anthony Richardson has had wins in the NFL, has a winning record in the NFL, which is a crazy thing to say with everything that we say about his tenure in Indianapolis. And he's had some just like, oh my gosh moments. So I'd probably lean Richardson in both realms, but I think the contract side of things would probably be the thing other teams would care more about right now than what they've seen on the field from either of those guys.
Yeah, I agree. I asked someone that yesterday, and they talked about having control of McCarthy's contract a little bit longer might be appealing. But my thing with Richardson is this is the last year of his deal. If you make a trade for him, then like his deal is going to go down because he's going to get paid whatever a backup gets paid. So the contract part of it is interesting. And when I think about Richardson, I this might be a bridge too far, and that's why I'm going to ask you about it. I think one of the biggest moments that changed the trajectory of his time here in Indy is when you go back 2 years when the Colts are playing the Broncos. They're about to go up 20-7, and Jonathan Taylor drops the ball at the goal line. They lose, and then they go on to not make the playoffs. Whereas if they win that game, they're 7-7 with games against like the Jags, Giants, and Titans left. Like, there's a part of me that wonders, like, if the Colts make the playoffs in 2024, how different are things now? Because he was the starter for the majority of that season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question for sure. I mean, I think that season was a big what if. I mean, that's the issue with the Anthony Richardson project, though. I mean, it's just there's so many what ifs.
Yeah.
What if he doesn't get hurt his first year? What if he doesn't get injured last year and is able to be reinserted into the lineup after Daniel Jones' injury? What if that year doesn't happen the way you just mentioned it and things kind of go downhill after that Broncos game? I mean, to me, I think one or two what ifs are normal, and teams have to kind of work through those. And sometimes you have to give the benefit of the doubt in those situations. I think the issue with Anthony Richardson is there's been too many what ifs that eventually it just became too much to overcome here. I'm not one to just say that a guy can't turn things around in a new setup, and we've seen so many quarterbacks as of late find ways to turn it around just by getting that change of scenery. And he has a lot of talent. So I think if he gets that change of scenery, things could help him, and we could see him become a more successful player than what we've seen in Indianapolis. But here, I think it's just always going to be this what-if conversation, and it's just become not worth it for the Colts to answer the what-ifs anymore.
Joined by Destin Adams, who does a great job covering the Colts. You can follow him on X at the Destin Adams. Moving away from the quarterbacks now, Coach Steichen said after the joint practice on Tuesday that there's going to be, quote, a slew of starters not playing tonight. I would assume that's all of the older proven ones. I feel like we'll see C.J. Allen for a drive or two, and A.J. Halsey, some of these younger guys, maybe Justin Wally as well, because he got hurt before the preseason started last year. Is there a rookie or young guy tonight that you were a little more excited to watch than others?
I mean, I was a big Seth McGowan guy during the draft process. He was one of my sleepers at that position. So I was pretty pumped to see the Colts get him in day 3. And he's had a really good camp. He's turned a lot of heads. This is going to be kind of that first opportunity to get a pretty large sum of the workload, you'd assume, him and DJ Giddens, if DJ Giddens is able to play with him dealing with the injury he's been dealing with. So it'll be interesting to kind of see him for sure. I'm also interested to see some of these backup linemen get some play, just because I think the backup offensive line situation is probably the most underrated question mark on this roster. You don't hear it get talked about a lot, especially not as much as receiver or linebacker or edge, which those 3 things obviously are issues, and they're going to be things that they have to address maybe. But to me, the backup offensive line, like, there's just not any very solid candidates that you're going to want and feel comfortable at playing starting reps this season if somebody were to miss time. And if something has taught me anything over the past few years as watching this Colts team and covering this Colts team, you're going to have to rely on a backup offensive lineman to make a key start. We see it every single year. And those have led to Tanner Bortolini being a starter. Those have led to Matt Goncalves being a starter because of them being able to show what they could do in relief. I'm nervous about what this backup offensive line group looks like for the Colts. So I need some of these guys to impress me personally.
I love Jalen Farmer. I'm like, so I feel like I'm Zach Hicks right now, being excited about.
I agree.
An offensive.
I agree
lineman.
there. Yeah, he's definitely the one.
But like I love Farmer coming out, and I think you're right on the backup offensive line questions. Like, I know everybody wants the Colts to go sign Keenan Allen for obvious reasons, but like, if they signed Taylor Decker instead, like, I don't think I'd be upset at that either. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see the draw there. I mean, I think they like Jalen Travis a lot. I think they have a lot of hope that he is going to be the answer. And I think that's fine. I mean, they've bet on young guys in the past, and it's worked out well for them. I'm just worried that there's not really a good backup plan right now, because if Jalen Travis doesn't work out, then you're starting to have questions on, does Goncalves kick back out to right tackle? Then you have to start Dalton Tucker at guard, who has had up and down starts in the NFL, even at being a successful undrafted free agent player for the team. Blake Freeland has had a lot of ups and downs as well as a player so far in his career. Do you really trust him to start games if it came to it? I'm very interested to see how these backup offensive linemen perform. I mean, Jalen Farmer, like you mentioned, he's definitely the most exciting one. Really, really fun college film there in the SEC. Definitely somebody that if they had to start a right guard or left guard for any reason, you'd feel good about giving him some run. But after that, it's a very uninspiring backup group, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Joined by Destin Adams talking Colts and Patriots tonight. So one of the things tonight that I'm hoping for is I want Will Mallory to come out and just look like he's a capable blocker, because we talk a lot about the third wide receiver spot with the Colts. My thing is, like, if you can just play with 2 tight ends, then you don't have to worry about your third receiver as often. And so my hope tonight is, like, Will Mallory comes out and really blocks, because I think that after Tyler Warren, he's the Colts' best pass-catching tight end. Is there anything tonight that, like, you're really hoping to see because you feel like it'll make things easier on the Colts in the regular season outside of the backup offensive linemen playing well?
I would say on the defensive side of the ball, you're going to see a good group of these linebackers get play, because there's just not a set in stone rotation there. And Lou likes to play a lot of backers. You're going to see guys get funneled in throughout the season, no matter who is the day one starter. So seeing multiples of these guys show signs of being able to produce, like, that matters, because we're going to see multiple of them need to play key snaps during the season. So I think watching the linebackers is going to be probably the most important thing for me on the defensive side of the ball tonight, and just seeing who is able to flash, who's able to look comfortable in this defense. Obviously, we're probably not going to get to see C.J. Allen, who's obviously dealing with the hamstring injury. Hopefully that is not going to be long term, obviously, but that's going to open up even more opportunity for a lot of these linebackers to get a lot of run tonight.
Absolutely. I'm intrigued about that as well because, like you said, Lou Anarumo is a guy who likes to rotate people in and out, and there's just a lot of like youth there. Obviously, C.J. Allen and Bryce Betcher. So I'm with you. That is certainly a good group to watch tonight. Last thing for you, Destin, and I'll let you go. How do the Indiana Bears sound to you? I don't know if you saw those reports yesterday, but what is kind of your take on that whole situation?
Yeah, I mean that sounds pretty unbelievable, which is probably the tier I'd put it in. I just can't imagine that's real. Would be very interesting if that is the route everything went, but for Bears fans to already be upset if the move to Indiana officially does happen, and then on top of it to just strip the Chicago Bears name and just give it to Indiana like that would I could see a lot of upset Bears fans. And that would be a very interesting way to start off this move to Indiana.
I think it'd be awesome. Like, just straight to the top of funniest things to happen in sports.
I'd buy a shirt.
Oh,
I'd buy a shirt.
Absolutely. Immediately. I'm with you though. Like, probably not going to happen. Mike Braun, he went on the Herd in June, I believe it was, and was basically like, yeah, it's the Chicago Bears no matter what happens. But the idea of it though, I really like.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very interesting. I mean, it would definitely put a stamp on like how real the Indiana aspect of it is for the Bears. Because I mean, I think the big part of it right now is even if the move happens, like the Hammond is so close to the Illinois line, like it's still gonna feel like the Chicago Bears just in the state of Indiana. And we've seen so many teams across the NFL that don't play in the area that their city or their that little first name acronym is actually for. So it'll be interesting to see if it is real. But the Chicago Bears make a lot more sense, even if they played Indiana, than like the New York Giants and Jets who don't play in New York. So
yeah.
Like I can't imagine this is the one where we draw a hard line and they become the Indiana Bears. That'd just be crazy.
It would be, especially like Hammond's 30 minutes from downtown Chicago. So yeah, you're exactly right. But again, the idea is fun. Dude, when is the Substack starting? I've been looking for it. Maybe I'm just blind
Yes,
and
I know.
I've missed it.
I know. No, you're good. You're good. No, we've had some delays on it. Had to get some graphic stuff, some technical stuff taken care of. But it's coming. I'm going to be writing my first article. Will be reactions to the preseason game tonight. So I have everything together now. I'll probably be announcing it today on social media. So I guess listeners hearing now are hearing it first. But I'll even give you the name first, okay, Jonathan, just because of how patient you've been.
Okay.
But my Substack is going to be titled Colts Branded, and it'll be all of my Colts written coverage going forward. Super excited to be getting back into that. It was a really good break, being able to just cover on social media for a little bit, just get everything together. But super excited to be writing about this team again. And man, there's a lot of things to write about even already.
That's right. Colts Branded. I like it. It sounds good. Sounds good. All right, Destin, thank you for your time, man. We always appreciate it.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
See you. That is Destin Adams. Check him out on X. Be on the lookout for that Colts Branded Substack. Should be good. He's a good writer, and we like having him on. We'll have Zach Pereles on again later in the show as well. He's coming up at 2:00. So the rookies and the youngsters, I do believe, are going to play tonight, even though a slew of the starters will not be dressing. And I've got expectations for every single one of them. I'll tell you what they are in 3 minutes.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
317-228-1430. That is the phone number. You can call in or text with thoughts on the Indianapolis Colts game tonight. Timothy Bowman tweeting at me during the break saying, since tonight is an Anthony Richardson audition for a possible trade, Chris, I'll let you answer this part. Would you lock up all the pregame stretchy bands?
Yes, absolutely. You are grounded from stretchy bands any day that there is a game. Stay away from the stretchy band containers.
That's still just like, look, we make fun of that a lot on the show, and we should because it's funny.
But there's a reason why, right?
I feel bad for him, man.
You see silly rules like when you go to the grocery store, for example, or whatever, and they have like the little seats in the carts, right? It says, do not let your kid stand on the seat. Well, obviously, because there was a kid once upon a time that stood on that seat and fell out. So now there has to be this crazy disclaimer for stretchy bands because AR hit himself in the face. So now we have to put those locked away on game day.
I feel bad for him, man. Like, what I picture whenever he talks about that is the same bands that, like, we used at Henderson whenever we were supposed to get our arms loose before we went out and threw. And, like, those shouldn't snap. And this is going to sound insane, and that's okay. Have you seen or heard the story of how Bo Jackson tore his labrum in his hip?
I have not. No.
Basically, he was running, and he was so strong and powerful that someone grabbed his leg, and he pulled his own hip out of socket, and then he rolled over, and he popped it back in.
Wow.
And it's one of those things where, like, he's just such an athletic specimen that could only happen to him. And I feel like the Anthony Richardson band thing is similar, of, like, you have to be so insanely strong to break one of those bands that there's probably not many other quarterbacks that could do that.
This happened like at a practice or something, right? There's got to be
pregame.
Okay.
Wait, for Bo Jackson or for
Anthony?
It was pregame.
Was
like
this
week
on
3.
Camera? Can we
No.
look up video of this?
Happened in the locker room.
Oh, okay.
Brutal stuff. But nah, man, I feel bad for him. It's tough. It's a tough break for him.
Yeah.
So speaking of Anthony Richardson, after the quarterbacks tonight that we're going to see, Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard, I'm excited to see the rookies play. The headliners, of course, are C.J. Allen and A.J. Halsey. This is assuming that they play. Coach Steichen said at the joint practice on Tuesday that a slew of the starters are not playing tonight. I'm assuming the starters not playing will be veterans. That means we're likely going to see C.J. Allen and A.J. Halsey. The biggest thing I want to see from both of them is that they're sure tacklers. That is the basis of every good defense. You have to have guys that can finish plays with tackles. And for Halsey, I just want to know that he can bring guys down in space. I don't really care how he does it. He can do that thing where, safeties and corners turn their body sideways and just dive at guys' legs. Whereas with C.J. Allen, I want to see him explode all over guys. I won't lie. I wrote that one down on purpose last night. But seriously, on a more serious note, I want to see him finish tackles. Like the best linebackers in football have a history of always falling forward. So for example, like Ray Lewis very rarely ever got ran over. It never really happened. Brian Urlacher, when he hit dudes, he went through them. Luke Kuechly, same thing. Patrick Willis, when he played for the Niners. Fred Warner, probably the best linebacker in football right now. They always finish forward. Okay, guys like Zaire Franklin usually get dragged for another yard or two whenever they make a tackle. I want to see C.J. Allen be a guy who wins the tackle between him and the running back. I want to see him finish tackles on top. Okay, I want to see C.J. Allen flying all over the field, making tackles, because he's supposed to be an athletic guy who can really run sideline to sideline. And I want that to be on display tonight when the Colts are defending the run. After that, this is a passing league. So in coverage, I don't want to notice A.J. Halsey. If he does his job, we won't notice him unless he makes a big play like an interception. I just want him to do his job and be the lid on the defense that doesn't give up any big plays, because with the new kickoff rules in the NFL and the way that these things work, most teams are starting at like their own 30-yard line. Okay, which means that if you give up a play of 20 or more yards, you're probably going to give up points. Okay, so just don't give up any big plays, and I think that we'll like what we see from Halsey. For C.J. Allen, I just want him to look comfortable. You know, like linebackers in coverage can look like fish out of water sometimes. You know, the best linebackers in the NFL, Fred Warner, look comfortable in space. And you could argue that the ability to cover as a linebacker is becoming more important than plugging the run, because these tight ends, when they're out on a pattern, are a bit of a problem. You need linebackers comfortable in coverage to cover them over the middle. You need linebackers comfortable in coverage that you can rely on in man-to-man spots as well. So I don't think C.J. Allen is going to be some great cover backer, especially early in the season. But I just want him to look comfortable, because if he's comfortable, that'll mean that there's room for growth. Okay, Zaire Franklin never looked comfortable in coverage. I think it's part of why they got rid of him. You have to have linebackers who can cover in space, and hopefully C.J. Allen shows that he can do that tonight. I think there's a chance we see Justin Wally tonight as well. I just want him to look as great in this preseason game as he's looked in these last two training camps. We're 2 years into him, haven't seen him play in any sort of a game-like setting yet. And I feel like there's just all this Justin Wally lore of like, oh, man, like Justin Wally's going to be a stud. Justin Wally's going to be really good. Watch out for Justin Wally. You know, Lou Anarumo, a guy who doesn't say anything nice about anybody, says a lot of nice things about Justin Wally. And we've heard about all these great reps that he's had against Josh Downs and all that kind of stuff. And tonight could be the first time that we actually get to see this guy on a football field contribute in some way, shape, or form. So I just want him to be as good in this preseason game tonight as he's looked in these last two training camps, because we have heard nothing but excellent things about how he looks on the football field. Deion Burks is another guy that I'm intrigued by, and just the idea of getting to watch him play. I just want him to be a guy that creates a couple of big plays for the Colts. Maybe that's in the passing game. Maybe it's him catching, you know, like a quick RPO bubble screen, and he turns it into like a 15-yard gain. Maybe he takes a slant. He takes like a 6-yard slant and turns it into a 50-yard gain. Maybe he returns a punt for a touchdown. Because when you look at Deion Burks and you look at all of the testing numbers and the speed and the athleticism and all these things, he has like small, big play guy written all over him. I don't want to say Tyreek Hill, because that's way too high of a standard for a guy who got picked in the 7th round. But he's hopefully going to be a guy that brings some explosiveness to the Colts' return game and to their passing game as well. So hopefully we see him create an explosive play or two. If Jalen Tuimoloau outplays, I want him to be dominant. He's a potential starter that is at a minimum going to play quite a bit this year. He should dominate the Patriots backups. There's a clip from him on Tuesday just eviscerating the starting right tackle for New England. That is what he should look like the entire time if he's on the field. He should look like he is so much better than everybody else, because this is a guy, again, who's going to play a lot of reps. He should be dominant, setting the edge in the run game, and in obvious passing situations, he should get home. That is what we should see from him. The other edge rushers that I know for a fact that we're going to see tonight are obviously Caden Curry and George Gums, the 5th and 6th round picks out of Florida and Ohio State. Caden Curry is an older player, and it would just be great if he looked like he could contribute this year, because as we all know, there's not a ton of depth along this Colts defensive line. So hopefully Caden Curry can be a guy as a 6th round pick who can play like 10 to 15 snaps a game on defense. And then George Gums, he's a little bit more raw. Started off his career playing tight end at Northern Illinois, made the transition to playing edge. And so hopefully he just kind of looks like this athletic freak. I'm sure there'll be moments where he's made to look dumb because he hasn't played an edge rusher that long, but hopefully he can have a couple of moments where it's like, oh, okay, I understand why the Colts spent a 6th round pick on that guy. And then Jalen Farmer, it's the big offensive guard out of Kentucky. I want to see him maul some dudes, man. Like I want for, the Lincoln Square Pancake House to call him after the game and be like, would you like to come make more pancakes for us? I want to see this dude just completely blow opposing defensive linemen off the ball. Because, again, he's supposed to be this big, physical, run game kind of specimen at the guard spot. So those are all the things that I want to see from these young players and rookies. We're going to get into some of the different position battles and things coming up at 1 o'clock. But first, Chris has your sports update.
Hey, thanks, Jonathan. Here's what's trending this hour. Apparently, our city has a second pro football team, and they're called the Indianapolis Capitals. I did not know this until today. It's in the Continental Football League, and Mike Vanderjagt, former Colts kicker, has been announced as the head coach and general manager of that franchise. That season kicks off next May. Former Colts coach Chuck Pagano also announced today he'll be returning to Wish TV to analyze this season with the Channel 8 sports team. So good to see old coach back on TV all the time. The Fever will be back in action tomorrow night against the Dallas Wings at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That tip set for 7:30. And the Pacers and Timberwolves, they'll have a preseason game at Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa on October 7th on the campus of Iowa State. Of course, the alma mater for 2 years at least, Tyrese Halliburton. And, of course, we know already Russell Westbrook announced yesterday that despite offers from the Kings and the Wizards, he has decided to retire after 18 seasons in the NBA. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show in 4 minutes on Indie Sports Ticket, 1430.
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 2 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway, and the Colts are back. So that also means that the flow is back. And of course, he has a new song for us, as he does before every Colts game. Here's DeFlo's latest hit.
Woo! This is our Colts. This is our team. We bleed blue. This is our Colts. Whether win or lose, we love them. For the shoe, beat the Pats. May Day is going down. This is our team. Go Colts.
A little auto-tune?
Yeah, the flow using some auto-tune there. Look at him.
Auto-tune from DeFlo. Oh, my gosh. Did he say Drake May is going down?
Yeah, Drake May going down.
Drake May going down.
He's
Drake
not
May
playing, is he?
not playing tonight. Yeah, but hey, I like it, though. It gets me ready. That's how you know Colts football is here.
Amen, brother.
When DeFlo is putting out his latest hits. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. You can also watch the show on X__Jonathan Smith. Follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. So, oh, man. One of the things that I don't know if we're going to see it tonight or not. I hope that we do. Are Ashton Dulin and Nick Westbrook-Akina going to play? It's an interesting question, right? Because obviously we're not going to see Josh Downs. Obviously we're not going to see Alec Pierce either. And when you look at the rest of this Colts roster, and it's like, do they really want to evaluate Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard when they're throwing to Anthony Gould and Deion Burks and DJ Montgomery and Laquan Treadwell? I don't know if they do or not. And so I'm interested to see kind of who the wide receivers are tonight. Ultimately, I hope that it winds up being Dulin and Westbrook-Akina because I want to see this position battle a little bit. I want to see how these two guys look operating on the same field. If they do play, they should both be dominant. There are two guys that are going to play for the Colts these are two guys that are going to play for the Colts when their regular season starts. And the best outcome from the preseason would be for us to sit back, watch Ashton Dulin and Nick Westbrook-Akina, and walk away like, you know what? Maybe we don't need Keenan Allen. Maybe we can go spend that money on a swing tackle that can come in and play if and when someone gets hurt, because that's probably going to happen at some point during this Colts season for the offensive line. So hopefully those guys play, and hopefully they look dominant. And when I say that, I don't mean them being dominant in terms of they're like making contested catches and those kind of things. I want to see them both separate from whoever is defending them, because it's likely going to be the Patriots' backup corners playing tonight. And if they can't separate from backups, then they're not going to separate against starting caliber corners in the NFL. And so if they're out there tonight getting locked up by backups, then that will be the sign that they need to go out and bring in a guy like Keenan Allen or Curtis Samuel or someone like that. That'll be proof that they need to go outside of the building to bring in a wide receiver 3. So I want to see them be dominant. The other thing that I'm really hoping that we see tonight, Tyler Warren is the undisputed best tight end on the Colts roster. Okay, there's no doubt. I think that the Colts want to play out of more 2 tight end sets this year. In order to do that, you need tight ends that can block and be pass catchers. Okay, like if you bring a guy on the field who can't catch, then it's kind of a bit of a tell for what you're going to do on that play. If you bring in a guy that can't block, it's a bit of a tell for what you're going to do on that next play. And so I would like to see a little bit of some development from the tight ends after Tyler Warren on this Indianapolis Colts roster. My biggest hope for tonight is that Will Mallory, who's, if you look at the unofficial depth chart, I believe he's their fourth string tight end. I hope he walks out on the field tonight and just mauls backers in the run game. That he's able to move defensive ends out of the way. Because after Tyler Warren, there is no question that Will Mallory is the Colts' best pass-catching tight end. And when you can run two tight ends out onto the field that are both, capable blockers and excellent receivers, that just opens up so much for your offense. And when I look at Mo Alley Cox and Drew Ogletree, I'm just not, I'm not overwhelmed by their ability in the passing game. Whereas Will Mallory, by far, is the best receiving tight end of that group. And if he can just get to a point where he can be a solid blocker, then this Colts offense would go to a whole new level. Now, if that doesn't happen, then hopefully Mo Alley Cox or Andrew Ogletree show a little bit more as pass catchers. I'm just not convinced that that's going to happen. If one of those three guys could just be a little more complete, it would make offense easier for the Colts. They'd be able to play with two receivers instead of three. Then you don't have to worry about Nick Westbrook-Akina or Ashton Doolin out there too often. You could just go, all right, two tight ends. We're going to run the football a bunch and see where that leaves us. Okay, so if one of those three guys could just be a little bit more complete, you could get a little more meat on the field, so you can push these smaller defenses around a little bit and run Jonathan Taylor right behind them. The other position battle tonight that I want to see between is going to be between Giddens and McGowan. I don't know if Giddens is going to play tonight. We had Destin Adams on earlier in the show, and he mentioned some of the that he's been dealing with an injury. I'm intrigued here. We'll see. Chris, you mind seeing if you can figure out if DJ Giddens is going to play tonight or not? Because I couldn't find it quickly, and I don't think people want to hear me say, is he going to play or not tonight 17 times in a row. But Giddens and McGowan, if Giddens plays, this is one of those position battles where we should learn a lot about the guys in this position battle tonight. Because Jonathan Taylor, he's not seeing the field. He shouldn't be on the field for a single snap in any of these preseason games. Pull a fan out of the stands if you have to before you put Jonathan Taylor on the field for a preseason game. He should be on the sideline in shorts and a T-shirt, maybe throw on a bucket hat. Bucket hats are in right now. Chris, are you a bucket hat guy?
What's a bucket hat?
It's like
You talking about those the giant?
You put it on and it's got like the brim goes all the way around, but it's not like a sombrero, right? Where it's like way out.
They're
just like
an Abe Lincoln hat?
What do you mean?
Like a top hat kind of thing?
No, not a top hat. But the brim is similar to that. Like it's not overly long.
Just
it's usually
flat.
it's usually made out of like mesh or something. Like more of like a meshy
I don't know.
material.
I'm not familiar.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what a bucket
Google
hat
bucket
is.
hat.
Okay.
It's going to pop up and you're going to be like, okay, I've seen people wear that. I'm just telling you to Google everything right now.
The only thing I've found on DJ Giddens so far is that he's not expected to play because he's still nursing the hamstring injury from Tuesday.
Gotcha. So sounds like we're going to see a lot of Seth McGowan tonight, which is, I think, a good thing because we've heard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bucket hat.
Yeah. That's a bucket hat.
Yeah. Back in the day, they used to put this on House of Pain, Limp Bizkit used to wear these.
They
kind of things.
Will Smith used to wear them in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'd probably
Carlton
not
couldn't
wear.
pull it off.
I probably wouldn't wear one of these.
You wouldn't?
My head's too big for those.
Oh no, man, that's what they're for.
For big heads.
Yeah. Now, dude, when we go on vacation, I wear a bucket hat the whole time. They're both basketball themed. They're awesome. They're incredible hats.
Okay.
Just saying. Anyway, Seth McGowan is a guy that we've heard so much about during Colts camp, and he's a guy that I'm sure a lot of Colts fans have circled for this game tonight because we've heard so much about him. He is supposed to be this big and powerful runner that still has the athletic gracefulness to make plays in the passing game. And if that's all accurate, then he's going to be the backup running back for the Indianapolis Colts this season. I have no doubt about that, even though whenever you look at their unofficial, which means it's not official, they do have McGowan listed as the third string running back. So I'm assuming tonight we'll see a lot of McGowan and Ulysses Bentley the fourth, which is a dope name for a running back. Like, if you were just like, who do you think's the best running back of this bunch? Jonathan Taylor, DJ Giddens, McGowan, or Ulysses Bentley the fourth. And I had never seen any of the four play before. I think the answer has to be the guy named Bentley. But hey, what do I know? Is that fair, Chris? That's a dope name. That's a great name for a running back.
I would agree with that. What's his nickname though? Does he go by something for short? I don't think his teammates call him Ulysses.
They just call him Bent. They probably call him Bentley. They probably just call him by his last name.
Fair enough.
Or the fourth. Yo, what up, the fourth?
Yeah, I don't know. I bet he has some kind of cool nickname though.
Probably.
They probably don't call him by his government name.
They just call him Carr. What up, Carr? Anyway, so I'm assuming it'll be a lot of Ulysses Bentley the fourth tonight and Seth McGowan. Hopefully it's mainly Seth McGowan though, because again, that's a guy that people are intrigued by. Is the guy who might be the backup running back to Jonathan Taylor. And I think if you're DJ Giddens, you're not supposed to do this, but you know that he hopes that Seth McGowan has a bad night because he don't want to be third on the depth chart. He wants to be second. And if Seth McGowan comes out and he has some an incredible game, that just means that DJ Giddens is going to have even more ground to make up. Because this is a guy who didn't play much last year, only appeared in 9 games, didn't rush for 100 yards last year. And so I'm interested to see when he comes back, because I'm assuming we'll see him either against Atlanta or whoever they play in their final preseason game. I'm interested to see how he looks in those games, especially as a returner. We had Jake Arthur on a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how this Colts team is trying to get some of these running backs involved in special teams. That way it's just easier to roster them because you only get 53 guys on Sundays. And so if he returns kicks or punts, if Seth McGowan returns kicks or punts, that is something to watch as well, because their impact on special teams is going to impact who makes the roster and who does not. But the single biggest thing for both of these guys, whenever we see DJ Giddens and when we see Seth McGowan tonight, is how do they hold up in protection? How do they do picking up blitzes? Because I'm going to continue to say this. They are not taking Jonathan Taylor off the field to hand Seth McGowan the football. They're not taking Jonathan Taylor off the field to hand DJ Giddens the football unless they absolutely have to. And so the most important thing that is going to determine who wins that position battle is who picks up blitzes better. Who steps up into the A-gap and takes a linebacker head on. I would assume that it's going to be Seth McGowan just because of the style of runner that these guys are. If you go back and you watch McGowan at Kentucky, one of the first things that you realize is he's a powerful runner and he's big. He's 6'1", 215 pounds. For those who don't know, that is the same size as Ashton Doolin. So McGowan is a bigger running back who you would think would hold up a little bit better in that regard. Whereas Giddens, this is surprising. Giddens is apparently 6 foot, 212 pounds. I find that hard to believe. I felt like when he was on the field last year, he was a little bit smaller than that. But whoever can step up in pass protection and just be more reliable is who is going to win that backup running back job. Speaking of backup jobs, close. That was, Riley Leonard and Anthony Richardson are going to be battling it out for that quarterback 2 position. And Anthony Richardson is an interesting study. Riley Leonard, I think, is a little more straightforward. I want to talk about what we're going to see from Riley Leonard tonight. What is a good night and what is a bad night from him? We'll do that in 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Timothy Bowman during the break tweeting at me on X __ Jonathan Smith with your thoughts, questions, and opinions on Colts and Patriots tonight in their first preseason game are always appreciated. You can also text the number 317-228-1430 with your thoughts. Timothy Bowman asking, with all the excitement regarding Anthony Richardson's play tonight, would you take the over or under on 1 interception and the over or under on 100 QBR? That's a good question. Jeez. I'm going to take the under on the interception. If he throws one, I don't think it'll be because of him. It'll be like he throws one to Deion Burks and it tips off his hand and someone else picks it off. I don't think we're going to sit there and be like, oh, man, he really stunk tonight. And then with the QBR, it'll be under 100. I believe, what's the max the max QBR is like 158.3, I think. And so if your QBR is at like 100, that means you played really, really well. For example, the Drake May led the NFL in QBR last year at 77.1. So probably not going to get 100 QBR from Anthony Richardson tonight. So yeah, I guess I'll take the under on that. Chris, do you have any thoughts on that?
I'd probably give him like 45 to 55 range on the QBR and under on the interception, but I could see that tipped pick happening. I would bet more on a fumble than interception. I could see him fumbling at snap or
yeah, I would agree on that.
Or trying to rush it and dropping it or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see, man. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see Riley Leonard play as well, because by the end of the year, they're hoping to trade Anthony Richardson, which means that Riley Leonard will then be the backup for the Indianapolis Colts. And expectations with him are really hard, but they're also really important. When you're the 4th overall pick, everyone's like, oh, yeah, going to be great from day one. You got to show up. You got to lead. You have to just be awesome from the jump. But when you're a 6th-round pick, expectations are like, yeah, maybe he'll make the roster. Maybe he'll be a practice team guy. That's kind of your expectation. And when the expectations of you are lower, it then becomes easier to exceed those expectations. Like, I'm a big believer in this. Expectations dictate a lot of how we feel about things in life. For example, whenever there's a movie that I know that I'm going to go see, I don't watch any of the trailers because I don't like, for example, I knew that when they announced the new Spider-Man movie that I was going to go see it. Didn't watch any of the trailers. Dune 3, when that comes out, I haven't seen any of the trailers. The trailer for Avengers Doomsday, haven't seen any of the trailers. Those are 3 movies I know that I'm going to go watch, and I don't want to watch the trailers and be like, oh, this movie's going to be amazing. And then show up to have the movie be good, but not amazing. Because if it's good and you're expecting amazing, then you're going to leave disappointed. And that's one of the benefits of being a 6th-round pick. People don't really have any sort of high expectation for you. It's like, yeah, if you suck and you say, I was a 6th-round pick, and then you can just kind of move on. Like, there's this trend that women are doing right now where if they mess something up, they'll just say, quote, I'm just a girl. It's like how demeaning and degrading is that? I don't think I would say that about myself. But that's kind of what Riley Leonard can do. And just go, I'm just a 6th-round pick. I didn't play last year. So for me, when I watch Riley Leonard tonight, I want him to be a guy that just looks comfortable. Like don't feel weird. Don't feel awkward. That was last year. Chris, how old were you when you started talking to girls? You know what I mean?
I'd probably say 2nd grade, however old I was in 2nd grade.
Really?
How old was I in 2nd grade?
I don't know, man. 7? I don't know.
There it is. 7 or 8, probably.
That's interesting. I mean, when I say that, I mean in a romantic, will you be my girlfriend way? Because for me, I feel like for most kids, it starts when you're 11 or 12.
Sure. Okay.
And if you watch like an 11-year-old boy talk to an 11-year-old girl, and like you watch him attempt to try to quote like riz her up. It's brutal to watch.
That's
It's
true.
awkward, and it's like I don't like what I'm watching right now.
That is true. Okay,
You know?
so I had a crush in second grade, but I probably
Okay.
didn't actually start to talk to anybody to like fifth or sixth grade,
Yeah,
which is probably about
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's awkward, but then like theoretically, but by the time you're like 18, your ability to quote riz people up should get better over time because you just become more comfortable talking to the opposite gender.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, hey girl, write down your number before I don't want it no more.
Yeah. Did you say that to somebody?
No.
I would say that's diabolical. That's crazy. But no, so geez, that's so funny. Write down my number before I don't want it anymore. That's great. You made me lose my train of thought.
You're welcome.
But like for Riley Leonard right now, I think he's kind of in that like awkward like 13 or 14-year-old kind of range where you talk to girls where like you kind of get it, but there are definitely things that you don't understand at all. Where it's like, oh, like she doesn't like it when I ignore her all day on Saturday because I was watching college football. That's something that like a 15-year-old kid would just completely miss. And that's where I expect for Riley Leonard to be, where he's in this space of like, okay, they're in cover 3, but like, what is that safety going to do? Is he going to come down? Are they going to flip any of these zones? Like, I know this guy's going to run in motion here, and I think he's going to be open over here, like down the seam on the left hash, but like I'm not really sure. And so because of that, I think we're going to see some really good moments from Riley Leonard tonight where we're watching and it's like, oh, wow, like he just ripped that ball over the middle to Laquan Treadwell. That looked really good. And then 4 plays later, he's going to throw a pass and we're going to like clench our butt cheeks because it's like that ball is going to get picked off. I think there's going to be just a lot of up and down from Riley Leonard throughout the game tonight. And that's okay because he's a six round pick going into year 2. There's really no expectation for him other than the fact that we know he's going to be the backup quarterback at some point this year, whether he wins the job outright over Anthony Richardson starting week 1, or he just takes on that role later when Anthony Richardson eventually gets traded. Chris, what's up, man? You had your mic on.
No, I was checking my sources here. I thought that Laquan Treadwell was ruled out for tonight, but he's currently listed as questionable, so he may not play tonight.
Okay, we'll see. I would assume that they're going to run him out there. Like he's not going to play in the regular season. Probably going to be a practice squad guy again. If I had to guess, just this is also me partially assuming that they're able to go out and sign a guy like Keenan Allen here at some point. Because the Colts still have $30 million in cap space just sitting there. And they're just waiting to use it on somebody. And
they're going to sign another kicker.
Yeah, that'd be funny. So my assumption would be they're either going to go get Taylor Decker, former starting offensive tackle of the Detroit Lions, have him come off the bench, have him be your swing tackle. That way you're 7 deep along the offensive line as opposed to only 6. So that just gives you a little more room for error there because, look, offensive linemen get rolled up on all the time. Like, I don't know how those guys don't get more injured than they already do. So it'd be great if they spent some of that money on either a Taylor Decker or obviously a Keenan Allen, a guy who could come in as your wide receiver 3 on your obvious passing downs and help people. Okay, Buzzard chiming in on X. Again, if you want to be part of the show, 317-228-1430. You can call or text that number if you have thoughts on the Colts game tonight. You can also tweet at me, __ Jonathan Smith. Buzzard chiming in on X saying, rizzed people up is new to me. When I was a freshman in high school, I claimed to have a cold to get out of asking a girl out. Wussed out. That's interesting.
Got to do better than that, Buzzard.
Yeah, man. You got to, step up to the plate there a little bit.
If you have a cold, she gets a cold too. Guess what? Hey, you're getting some of these germs.
Oh. All right.
That's how you riz it up. Want to go out with me? You got to take some germs too. But hey, side note, do you know what PFF is on X? Okay.
Pro Football Focus, yeah.
So you saw a couple hours ago they posted their top 10 offensive line list. Right?
Okay.
The Colts are number 4. Do you agree with that?
Yes, that's not surprised at all.
Okay.
They've got so much of offensive line play is this whole idea of just like 5 people working together as one. And when you bring back 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen from the year prior, you immediately have a leg up in that ability compared to other teams that are swapping guys in and out. And then the guy who's starting at right tackle played last year for the Colts. And so when you have that camaraderie and chemistry at the start, I think that immediately gives you a leg up. There's also a lot of talent on this Colts offensive line. Like Quentin Nelson obviously is the headliner, but when you look at what's his name? Gosh dang it. Starting left tackle, Bernard Ryman. When you look at him at left tackle, like that's one of the 10 best offensive tackles in football. Tanner Bortolini has very quickly become, I think, one of the 10 best centers in football. Matt Gonzalez played really well at right guard last year. This is year 2 of that experiment. And so you would think he would be better. He talked earlier during Colts camp about how like his training in the offseason is different because last year he was prepping to play tackle and he ended up playing guard. So this is the first offseason where he's like worked on playing offensive guard. So you would think that he would be better. And then Jalen Travis is just a specimen, dude. That dude is 6'8", 340 pounds. If he can just get his hands on somebody, I like his chances. You know, so there's so much to like with this Colts offensive line. And if you think that the Colts are a playoff team, like this is what you're betting on. You are betting on that group of 5 guys being really good. So we'll see how all that goes. The Bears did talk today about potentially coming to Indiana. Here is a very short quote from that. This is from Kevin Warren, who's the Bears president / CEO. This is a report from Brad Biggs saying that president / CEO Kevin Warren says, to be clear, the due diligence is ongoing at Wolf Lake Terminal Site. I believe that is in Indiana in the Hammond area. Lost Marsh site work has been completed. And then this is a direct quote. We are in the middle of that due diligence. It's a lot of work that happens on almost a daily basis. So they're not announcing where they're going yet. They're still looking at places and where to build and if they can build in those spots. But it doesn't look like there's been any sort of an update on Arlington Heights, which is in Illinois. If I remember correctly, that's north of Chicago. So it looks like Indiana's the leader. We'll see where they end up, though. The Indiana Bears, though. That would be great. That would be awesome. I would love that just for the memes and the shirts. It'd be great.
Again, I ask you, I know I've asked you this before, but either way you cut it, does the Bears make the Super Bowl before the Colts make their next Super Bowl?
Yes.
Absolutely. You think so?
Yeah.
All right.
They may make it this year. They're going to be pretty good.
I don't know if I'd say that. I think they go deep in the playoffs this year, but I don't see a Super Bowl for the Bears this year.
They're pretty good, man. The question is going to be the pass rush. They need another guy beside Montez Sweat because the Hurricane couldn't he didn't really pan out for him last year as that other guy. So the question is going to be their front four, but like they've got the quarterback, they've got a good offensive line. They should be able to run the ball. They've got a guy in Ben Johnson who so far has proven that he's going to be a really good head coach. So yeah, give me the Bears.
All right. Cowherd's buddy on here on this show we have on in the studio said that Max Crosby a good possibility to go to the Bears. You see that happening?
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
The Raiders already tried to trade him. They're restarting everything anyway. And so like having Max Crosby, who's been in the league for a while now. I think this is like year 7 for him. Nope, this is year 8. And so like he's just kind of rotting. He's just kind of rotting in Vegas because they've completely restarted. They're looking to they're looking to compete in like 3 or 4 years. And with Max Crosby, he'll be 29 this year. Like he should be looking for a place to go and win right now. So Max Crosby's a guy that I do think will get traded at some point around the deadline. Would love it if the Colts were that team. Like if they look up and they're 5-3, I would make a call for a guy like Crosby. I think that would make a lot of sense for the Colts.
Could you imagine Crosby and Gardner?
Seriously, like
Same
him,
team? That'd be ridiculous.
like this is like it's amazing how much like a true quality starting edge rusher would change my perception of the Colts. I've got them at 8-9 right now. If they added a Max Crosby, or if they had found a way to land a Trey Hendrickson in the offseason like they originally planned to, I'd be like, this Colts team could win like 11 games. Like they are a true edge rusher opposite of Latu away from being a real dominant, or from potentially being like a really good football team that could win a playoff game or two.
I could see that. Absolutely. I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah, but they've got to find a way to find whoever that guy is, and it's hard to do that, especially when you don't have your first round pick next season. So we'll see if they can bring in a Crosby or someone like that. Should be interesting. So Colts playing against the Patriots tonight to get preseason, or the first week of the preseason started. Game is at 7:30 on Fox 59. Anthony Richardson is getting the starts. We'll talk about what we kind of hope to see from him tonight in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
You remember a couple of years ago, Anthony Richardson was the starting quarterback for the Colts, and they went on the road to Foxborough, and they played the Patriots, and they were down 24-17, and they put together that horrendous 19-play drive where they tied the game and then ended up winning it on an Anthony Richardson 2-point conversion run. Do you remember that game?
Vaguely, but yes.
Dude, it popped up on my timeline, and I'm like, I want to see that, because I remember one of the things when he was the starting quarterback is like he would be terrible. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, when the Colts absolutely had to have it, it was like, he's not terrible anymore. He like kind of looks okay. I don't know if you remember that way or not. Maybe that's just me doing the whole revisionist history thing.
No, I don't think he was terrible. I just think he could have played better, and I thought he was reckless for sure. Like, he was like, I'm going to get hurt today, like if my life depends on it kind of thing. But I didn't think he wasn't always terrible. We've had worse quarterbacks, and his mind was, I want to say his mind was in the right place, but his mind and his movements didn't coordinate well with each other.
Yeah, but like he had two fourth quarter comebacks and 3 game-winning drives in 2024. And so he would, like you said, not be great to start the game. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, he would just all of a sudden look competent. He wouldn't look, great or anything, but it's like, all of a sudden this guy can actually complete like a 7-yard slant. It was just, I don't know. It was a weird thing.
You could tell, like, whenever the coach was like, listen to what I'm telling you, do this play. But more often than not, whenever he got out there, it looked like he would hike the ball and be like, that's not going to work, so I'm going to do whatever I want. And it didn't work out.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know. He's an interesting case. And I want to hear, I'm so excited to watch him play tonight. And I want him to play well so bad, man. Because, like, to have all of these expectations thrust upon you and then to, struggle as much as he has and not be able to stay healthy and all those things. It's like, because, like, being, this is sound dumb, but that's fine. Like, being a pro athlete when you're the number 4 overall pick isn't easy. And the Colts drafted him when he was 21 years old. Chris, this is going to sound mean. I don't mean for it to. How dumb were you when you were 21 years old?
I was pretty dumb.
Not
going to lie.
Could you imagine if someone was like, hey, man, you're the face of a $1 billion company. Good luck when you're 21.
That definitely would have gone to my head, and I would have been, I don't know, conceited about it and not taken it seriously.
Same. That's how, like, I think every 21-year-old would react.
Like, cool, these guys love me regardless of what I do, so I'm awesome. And
yeah. I dunked a basketball, and everybody went crazy.
Right.
This is awesome. And so I just think being asked to shoulder that much at 21 years old is not an easy thing to do. And so I think he just kind of caught – he should have gone back to Florida for one more year. I think if he goes back to Florida for one more year, develops as a passer, plays a full season, and all those things, then he probably has a more successful career as a quarterback. He's probably not taken 4th overall, but this is one of the interesting things about one and done's pre-NIL. In college basketball, I'll never forget Mike Anderson being the head coach at Arkansas, and the Colts and Arkansas had this guy named Daniel Gafford still in the NBA. And after his freshman year, there was talks of him going pro, and he and Mike Anderson had this long conversation on, do you want to get drafted really high, or do you want to have a 10-year career in the NBA? And I think with Anthony Richardson, like that is the question that was posed to him, and he was like, "I think I'd rather be the 4th overall pick, and so I can get to the money." And so, which is an understandable decision. So that's ultimately going to be something that I think he looks back on and really regrets, because if he comes in at 22, because so much happens, I think from when you're 21 to when you're 22. Like when I was 21, I was an idiot, and then I graduated college, moved up here, turned 22, and I was pretty different, And so now that I think he's 24 now, Richardson, yeah, he'll be 24 this year. Like, I would hope that by this point, he's developed in his maturity level a little bit, and that the hope, we'll find out tonight, we'll hope that he finally understands what it takes to be successful as a quarterback in the NFL. Because Joe Flacco, I mean, he said it before. He's like, yeah, like I'm not here to like teach people. And so, and like even if that was the case, like that whole situation was just weird between who was the starter and who was the backup. So maybe after a year of just like getting to watch a real pro, because that's what Daniel Jones is, and how he kind of goes about his business for a full year, maybe Anthony Richardson will have picked up a thing or two and he'll come out and look good tonight. That's my hope. We'll see.
Yeah, I want him to look good too, but part of me kind of wants a little excitement, not just for something to talk about. You know what I mean? If he just goes out and goes like 10 of 13 for, 89 yards or something short like that and a touchdown, and that's it, and he sits the rest of the night, pretty average, right? But you're like, no, where's the interceptions? Where's the fumbles? Where's the helmet taps? Where's the stretchy bands? Like, are you upset that the behind the scenes isn't there? Or are you just like content with him being average and doing what he should have been doing all along?
Dude, if he comes out and he goes 10 of 13 tonight with a touchdown pass and throws for 89 yards, I'll be elated. Cause like that's like I think, look, playing quarterback in the NFL, it's one of the hardest things to do in sports. And, Anthony Richardson seems like a nice guy. He just, was clueless when he came in. And so, like, I want him to do well. I want him to play well. And, yeah, dude, if he was 10 of 13, you would get some, like, should Anthony Richardson be the starting quarterback chatter.
That's fair.
That's what we would get.
But at the same time, consider who he's playing to. You're probably playing the B team of the Patriots.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the same as Week 1 Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I understand that. But like, can for Riley Leonard or Richardson, like over the course of these preseason games, it would be awesome if one of them could reach a point of like, yeah, I think we could win a game or two with them if Daniel Jones got hurt. Because, I'm like the only guy who brings this up. Daniel Jones has gotten hurt every year of his career except for one. And so there's going to be 2 or 3 games on the schedule where you're going to need Riley Leonard or Anthony Richardson to be able to come in and be the guy for you. And so that's, my ultimate hope. That to me would be a really interesting thing, because that's not lost on the Colts and this front office of like knowing that Daniel Jones has this history of getting hurt. Obviously, you're not hoping that he gets hurt, but like I think you have to know in the back of your mind, like, yeah, this is a pretty common occurrence. How interesting would it be if the Colts were like, yeah, we're going to hold on to Anthony Richardson all year because he looks like a competent quarterback now, and Riley Leonard doesn't? That would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
I kind of hope that happens. That's another thing for us to talk about.
Yeah, I'm ready for this game to start like right now.
Dude, we got 6.5 hours. And, so last night I'm hanging out with Amelia, and we get it. We get this text message from a number that I don't have saved. I'm bad at that. I'm terrible at saving phone numbers. And it's like, hey, would you guys want to go to Activate? Which, if you've never been to Activate, fantastic time. Or Top Golf. Like if you had the option, we're both like Activate immediately. And they're like, sweet. What are you guys doing October 24th? That's a Saturday in October. You know what I'm doing, Chris.
Probably watching college football.
Indiana plays Michigan that day.
Right.
We're not missing it.
Yeah.
We're not missing it. I'm busy at noon. That's probably going to be big noon kickoff, you know? And so I don't know if that makes me I don't know what that makes me. I always feel bad, though.
You're like, if you're going to make plans with us, it has to go around the
If you're making plans with me in the fall, it better be on Friday night. Like, seriously, it better be on a Friday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
So you told this person that you don't have saved in your phone what?
I didn't say anything. It sounds like plans are still being discussed, and it'll probably be a thing where Amelia goes and I don't. That's probably what it'll be, depending on the time. Because if we go at 9 a.m. and we're there for 2 hours, I can get home before noon, and we're golden at that point, right?
Yeah.
But if we're not getting home before noon, no. And if someone hits me with a just record it, have you not watched college football live? Have you not watched football live? Correction. Have you ever seen me watch football live? It brings me an immense amount of joy. It's great. Why would I want to record it? I want to watch it live, and I want to live tweet, and I want to yell at Bob, the Patriots fan tonight, and tell him he's dumb because he thinks Drake May's good at football. That's what I want to do. You can't do that if you have to record the game. So, anyway, sorry, little rant there.
Fair point. No, absolutely valid. I have a couple friends getting married on that October 24th, and I'm already asking, how long are we going to be there? What time do I need to be there? How late can I be? You know what I'm saying?
Dude.
So you've picked a day where it was already preset before you guys even met.
Last year, New Year's Eve, that is the college football playoff games are happening. We had a wedding on New Year's Eve. I was heated. I was so upset. I didn't want to go. And to be clear, I went. I was at the ceremony, popped out at the reception for a little bit, but I left early. I was like, I'm going home and I'm watching these games. That's what I'm doing.
Sure.
I walked home.
Well, also, but for you, Activation and Topgolf, places like that have TVs, right? You could just
Activate does not.
Okay.
Dude, if you're an active person, it's a great place to go. They basically have all these rooms, and they all have different themes, and then you play games in the rooms.
Sounds like a hotel.
So, okay.
I know that building.
Okay.
I've been in those rooms before.
So, okay. But no, so in one room they have buttons and tiles on the floor, and all the tiles change colors. And so just don't step on the red tiles, but the red tiles are moving and you have to clear all the blue ones. It's a lot of fun. Anyway,
sounds like a lot of work.
Gritty says Jonathan enjoys calling people dumb. I don't know about that.
No, you're not wrong, Gritty.
What? I don't call that many people dumb.
Not that many, but that doesn't mean you don't enjoy it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It depends on. I think everybody likes calling other people dumb.
To some extent, yeah.
I think everybody likes calling other people dumb. It's just something about me being mean to people that makes people happy. I don't know what it is.
No, I think she was just saying that you enjoy it. You take pleasure in calling people dumb. You don't call everybody dumb, but
look,
it makes you happy.
Winning an argument's fun. I think everybody knows that. Winning an argument is a great feeling. Of I don't like that we just went back and forth for 20 minutes, but I won, so it was worth it.
Yeah. That's why I don't argue with you. I'm like,
what? Nah, this is sports radio. This is this is a broadcasting take. Everyone says that people hate First Take and that First Take on ESPN is terrible. But when you look at the ratings, people watch First Take more than any other afternoon sports talk show, because the heart of sports talk is people debating about things and disagreeing and calling each other dumb. It's just like that is just that is the ultimate essence of what we do.
Fair
so
enough.
argue with me if you disagree.
Wait,
Because I'm not. I feel like I'm nice to you. I don't feel like I never call you
I was
dumb.
just going to say that. I mean, like, I don't think you've ever called me dumb, but whenever you leave the studio every day, do you think, like, man, that was really dumb? And you just don't say anything to me about it?
No,
Yeah,
I think
you're lying.
because like when I no, I'm not.
Don't lie to me.
When I leave, I'm thinking about what I said. How many dumb things did I say today? And there's usually a few in there where I'll be like, probably shouldn't have said, whatever I said about whatever. So
That's fair.
there you go. We got Zach Pereles joining the show coming up here at 2:00, and it'll be a good time. But first, Chris, is your sports update.
Yeah, it's a good time. All right. Thanks, Jonathan. The Colts take on the Patriots tonight. We've been talking about it all day. Week 1 official NFL preseason play. You can find that on Fox 59 at 7:30. A lot on the line for Anthony Richardson, who will start and play the first half, while Riley Leonard is assigned to conduct the second half. And our city apparently has a second pro football team I didn't know about, the Indianapolis Capitals in the Continental Football League. And Mike Vanderjagt has been announced as the head coach and general manager of that franchise. Good old Peyton Manning sending him some congratulations. Check this out.
So I'm wishing you, your players, your staff, and everybody involved a great first season. I'm a little curious why you hired Donovan Bailey as your speed coach instead of me with my blazing speed. Still trying to figure that one out. And Mike, just remember, if your team ever needs a 55-yarder in the snow to send a game into overtime and a 53-yarder in the snow in overtime to win it, suit up, get out there, and make it again, just like you did in our game against Denver 25 years ago. Congrats again, Mike. Best of luck.
Peyton Manning right there sending a congratulations to Mike Vanderjagt, the new head coach and general manager of the Indianapolis Capitals. That season kicks off next May. The Fever back in action tomorrow night against the Dallas Wings at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. You can check that out at 7:30. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show in 4 minutes. And Zach Pereles joins on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430.
Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 3 on a football-filled Thursday of the real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can also watch the show on X, _ Jonathan Smith, to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app as we bring in the one and only Zach Pereles from CBS Sports, who does a great job covering the NFL. Zach, we have football tonight, man. I'm pretty excited about it. How are you feeling about the football being in the air?
Yeah, we made it. That's the only thing that I can think of right now is that, yes, I will be watching preseason football, and no, I won't feel bad about it.
Dude, I will feel like a little bad about it because I do have a wife who is like, can we just not watch football ever? That's not true. She's not quite that bad, but she would rather watch anything else. So I'll feel like a little bad about it in that area. But outside of that, it's like, give me every attempt of Anthony Richardson trying to throw the football tonight. I'm really, really excited about it. Let's start there, though. Let's start with Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard tonight. Shane Steichen saying earlier in the week that Daniel Jones he's not going to play tonight, probably not going to play at all during the preseason. What do you want to see from Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard tonight?
Yeah, I think for Anthony Richardson, it's been, at this point, it's beating a dead horse. Like, got to be more accurate, has to be more on time. But you also want to see him play to his strengths. You want to see him as a threat, as a runner. You want to see him taking advantage of all the physical tools that he has, especially in a game where it's going to be a lot of backups, especially in a game where his physical skill set can shine. Obviously, you want to see the ball moved. You want to see all the good things procedurally and getting in and out of the huddle, because those are the basic things that teams want to see throughout camp and into the preseason. But yeah, I think for the Colts, you're hoping that he looks like a backup quarterback who can come in and play if he has to. And obviously the Colts know backup quarterbacks are very important, as they saw last year. So whether Anthony Richardson is on this team a month from now or not, you want to see all the good positive signs that you can. Riley Leonard, same thing. Obviously it wasn't a ton of the Riley Leonard experience last year, right when it seemed like he was going to get a chance. He was hurt. So yeah, you don't want to see, and I hear this from coaches all the time, you want to see cleanliness in the pre-snap. You don't want to see penalties there. You want to see completions, because there's nothing worse than the second half of a preseason game taking 2 hours because nobody can complete a pass, and the clock is always stopping. So keep it rolling, get through your progressions, don't take negative plays.
So, yeah, I think you're exactly right there, especially on the, can we just complete past this part? Because you're right. I mean, that was the nice thing about watching, Carson Beck and former Georgia Tech quarterback whose name I'm blanking on right now in that Hall of Fame game. Like, they completed passes. It was really back and forth, and that's what made the game a lot of fun. Again, joined by Zach Pereles of CBS Sports. You can read him at cbssports.com. Does a great job covering the NFL. And to your point, backup quarterbacks are important, especially to this Colts team, because when you look at the history of Daniel Jones, he's only gotten through one season fully healthy. And because of that, what do you think happens if through these 3 preseason games, Riley Leonard continues to look like a 6th-round pick and Anthony Richardson looks like a competent backup? Any chance that the Colts hold on to Anthony Richardson? Because like you said, backup quarterbacks are important.
Yeah, I think that there's a good chance that they do end up holding on to him. I understand that there's a trade request there, but you have to have a good second quarterback, whether that's for a week, whether that's for a series, or whether that's for a month, a year. It will doom your season if you can't have someone step up when they need to. It's interesting how we talk about depth so much at every other position except for quarterback. You know, you want to see good offensive line depth, defensive line depth. You need depth and versatility in the secondary. We obviously want to have a lot of good pass catchers because guys go down. But so rarely do we say, what's your quarterback depth look like? And that should be discussed a little bit more. I think that, yeah, if Anthony Richardson looks good, that is for the Colts' benefit, regardless of whether he's on this roster. If he looks awesome and Riley Leonard looks good, maybe they think about shipping one of those guys. But in general, you want to see depth everywhere, and Anthony Richardson is going to get his chance to show the Colts and to show the NFL that he can still play in this league or at least be a high-functioning backup.
I completely agree. And last thing here that's a lie. One of the things with Richardson tonight that I think is important is I want to see him play with a bit of an edge and like a chip on his shoulder. Like, I know it's very common now to hear athletes talk about like playing with joy and those kind of things. But like when I think about Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Michael Jordan, like, I don't think they played with joy. I think they played with this edge / chip on their shoulder. And I think that is one of the important things for me with Anthony Richardson tonight. Cause like when you're supposed to be like this promised franchise quarterback and then absolutely nothing goes right between the injuries and the poor play when he has been on the field. Like I would like to think that at some point that just like upsets you a little bit. And I'd like to see that come out a little bit tonight, just because mentally, like I'm sure all this has been hard on him. What do you kind of think of that idea of just like seeing him play with like maybe a little bit of resentment when he's on the field?
Yeah, I think, and this goes for a lot of guys, but you're right. The last thing that you want to see is after Anthony Richardson leaves the game, your first thought is, well, it was just the preseason. It doesn't really matter. Like, you're right. For a guy like Anthony Richardson and the billing he had coming into the league, this matters. There are guys who have been on a roster's edge who have come back and been a starter. Sam Darnold just did it. We forget how often he was bouncing around. Now, it's obviously unfair to compare Anthony Richardson, who is still on the Colts, to a guy who has bounced around like Sam Darnold. But you're right. You want to see him go in there, be poised, be aggressive. You don't want him to go in there and run, even if it's a vanilla version of the offense. You want to see a vanilla version of the offense. No team is going to give away what they're going to do in the regular season, but you don't want to see it run vanilla. You want to see it run hard. You want to see guys who are desperate to make a roster give it their all. And Anthony Richardson is kind of in that boat right now.
He is. And it'll be interesting to see kind of how he looks tonight, because there's been reports out of Colts camp that he's struggled a little bit and he has moments where he kind of looks dejected. So I'm very intrigued to see kind of his body language tonight. And I do think people are forgetting, like, we haven't seen this guy play football in a year. You know, we haven't seen him since he got crushed by that Ravens linebacker to open the preseason. So I'm excited to see if he's found a way to get any better after last year. Again, joined by Zach Pereles, who does a great job covering the NFL over at CBSSports.com. Who is the better reclamation project, J.J. McCarthy or Anthony Richardson?
That's such a good question, because I have so much trouble believing in either of them right now.
Yeah.
I think that Anthony Richardson is, because he is such a high-level athlete, and I think there's a chance that, like, if he went to, like, my thought for him right now, like, the high-level comp would be Malik Willis. Like, if he went to the Packers, and Matt LaFleur, we've seen, just, like, can completely change his game plan from Jordan Love to Malik Willis, and he did so incredibly well the past couple seasons. Like, they're not the same players, but they had some similar physical tools, some similar significant weaknesses. I just see a little bit more high-end traits with Anthony Richardson, just athletically. And if you find, I don't even think Shane Steichen has done a bad job with it. I just think it's been a situation that hasn't worked out. The refinement just has not been there. Obviously, the injuries have played a role as well, but I'd still lean slightly on Anthony Richardson, if nothing, just to be a guy who could run like an RPO-centric offense for a week if you needed him.
Yeah, like the Malik Willis comp, that's really good. You're the first person I've heard say that, and that's really good. I hadn't even thought about him, right? And you're right. Just having a guy who, like you said, you got to tweak the game plan for a little bit, but can just like come in and be competent and run the RPO stuff and use his legs. That's really good, dude. Again, joined by Zach Pereles, who does a great job covering the NFL. Rank these quarterbacks in order of who you're most excited to watch play tonight. Okay, I've got 5. Fernando Mendoza, Anthony Richardson, Carson Beck, Drew Aller, and Josh Dobbs.
Okay, if we go from the bottom up, I've got to say Josh Dobbs, just because Josh Dobbs at number 5, because we just know what he is, and that's okay. Like, he's a backup quarterback. I'm okay to watch Josh Dobbs and say, yup, that was Josh Dobbs. I have no other takeaways.
Okay.
I think 4, maybe Drew. It's Beck, Aller, Richardson, and Mendoza. I think 4 is going to be Drew Aller, just because, at this rate, 4 might be Anthony Richardson, I think. Like, there might not be a ton to say after this, and I'm expecting it to be, Anthony Richardson looks like he can run. He still has a hose of an arm. It kind of goes everywhere, though. So I don't know if there's a ton of excitement there. I think it's almost more intrigue. Then I'd say Aller at 3, Beck at 2, and then it's got to be Mendoza at 1, just because he's so far above and beyond the other guys in terms of importance right now in his career. So Carson Beck, had me interested, and like we discussed earlier, he made it a really fun Hall of Fame game. So he's number 2, Aller 3. Aller and Richardson are it's interesting there, but I think I'm just going to give Aller a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, because if he looks fun, interesting, shows some of the tools, the Steelers are going to be looking for a quarterback one way or another next year. So Drew Aller might not play a snap this year, but if they see some encouraging stuff, I think that he could be an option next year, whereas I don't know if that would be the case for an Anthony Richardson, and that's why I'm putting Aller ahead of him.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm a little biased, so I think you have to have Mendoza at 1, even though he's not going to be the week 1 starter. I don't know. Tom Brady has this thing where he's like, young quarterbacks shouldn't play, but college football is so different than what it used to be. Like, when you have a guy like Mendoza, who's been a 3-year starter, threw over 1,000 passes in college, he doesn't need to sit for a whole year and learn. And so I think he's going to be really good tonight. And so he's 1. I've got Richardson at 2 because Colts guy, got to do Colts stuff. And then I've got Beck because, like you said, in the Hall of Fame game, he was awesome. And then I have Drew Aller 4. And to your point, some of the tools are interesting. You like the size. I don't know if he's got a Josh Allen arm, but he's got a plus arm. And so there's things about him that you like, and maybe he puts those on display tonight. But I think Drew Aller kind of falls in this category, and you could say the same thing about Richardson. is he a 2-hour second half quarterback because he can't complete any passes, you know?
Right. At that point, we better get a lot of rushing attempts, and I think that we will.
Mike McCarthy's on the sideline like, all right, guys, we've been here 5 hours. Let's wrap this thing up. Let's start running the football a little bit more. And then,
That's right.
And then Dobbs at 5 just makes sense. Like you said, he's a backup. He just had he had that weird season. I think that was 2 years ago where like he bounced around and everywhere he ended up, he played and he played really well. That was weird. That's one of the weirder things to happen in the NFL in recent memory, you know?
Right. Yes. Backup quarterbacks, like, they just collect teams like Infinity Stones. Like, they will just be on 3 different teams in a year and nobody blinks an eye.
Yeah. It's really weird. And it's especially someone like Dobbs, because like you said earlier, again, joined by Zach Pereles, talking a little preseason football, getting you ready for tonight. Like, backup quarterbacks are important. Like, the 49ers don't make the playoffs last year if it's not for Mac Jones being competent as a backup.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part Mac Jones, that's part Kyle Shanahan, and that's part the players and the infrastructure around them. So all those things, especially when you have to go to a backup can look really bad somewhere, and really, like Malik Willis as well, can look really bad one place, really good the next. So yeah, there's so many factors that go into it.
There really are. Last thing for you, Zach, and I'll let you go. Which preseason game do you have? So like I'm assuming if you're like me, we'll split screen. We're gonna try to watch multiple, but like the Colts is gonna occupy like my main screen. What is your main screen game tonight for the preseason?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm looking at this schedule right now. I kind of would like to see, this is going to sound like a little bit off the radar, but Titans 49ers is interesting. Just because like the 49ers, they have to figure out a way to like fill out a roster. It seems like someone's getting hurt every day. And then I think we're getting Cam Ward.
We are.
So that is, I believe so. I hadn't seen that they aren't going to him. But I would like if Cam Ward is playing, that obviously helps. It's hard to always keep track of, if Cam Ward, they say he's playing and then he comes in and hands the ball off 2 times and throws a screen and gets off the field, that's a bummer. But I think that would be the one where I want to see, like, are the Titans, who have been such a mess, like, are they really a different team under Robert Saleh, who I think got a pretty tough deal in New York? And then, there's a lot of intrigue with the 49ers. Also, like Kyle Shanahan, the intrigue there. What does they look like with him in a very limited role so far this offseason and preseason? So that's one that'll grab my attention. I'm truly a sicko that will watch, or at least I will watch as many as I can and be interested in as many as I can. I think the reason that I go Titans 49ers is because I know I can watch it. It's on NFL Network. So that's helping. I won't have to get creative trying to find ways to watch that.
For sure. And as you were saying, Cam Ward is set to play tonight, it looks like, in my 2 minutes of research there.
There we go.
Last thing for real here, because, Zach, I have to do the thing where I say last thing and then ask like 3 more questions. Let's redo that ranking then. Like, if we took out Josh Dobbs and we put Cam Ward in instead, I'd probably put him second behind Mendoza in terms of guys that I'm just excited to watch tonight. Where would you put him at?
Yeah, I think second as well. And the gap between those two would be pretty close because, like, Cam Ward getting snaps is important. He's going to, get a chance to grow. And I'm assuming if Cam Ward's playing, that means we're seeing Carnell Tate and some other guys. So that offense, it literally cannot be worse than last year when the coach was fired and everything was a mess. And you just like watch Cam Ward get destroyed every week. So yeah, those would be my 1-2. And unfortunately, if we're updating this Carson Beck ruled out tonight. So that just came in across my work chat. So we will get Jacoby Brissett though, and maybe that's a little interesting. He can sling it.
He can. He's a backup quarterback getting paid starting quarterback money, so that's great.
Good for him. Good at this point. Good for him.
Yeah, probably good for Arizona too. Maybe they can grab Arch Manning and Marvin Harrison Jr. What a duo that would be.
Yeah, you want some famous last names. That will keep the Cardinals somewhat relevant.
You know what? It really kind of sucks for them because like there's parts of their roster that I really like Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, had a pretty nice year last year. Trey McBride, I think, is the best tight end in football. Jeremiah Love is going to play tonight, so we'll get to see a guy who you would think is going to be a really good running back. They're just stuck in the NFC West. It's like if they were in the NFC South, could they win that division? Probably not, but they'd probably go 7-10 as opposed to 4-13, which is probably what they're going to do this year.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. I actually have a training camp overreactions piece up today, and I think one of the things that I deemed not really an overreaction is I think that the Browns and the Cardinals have the Browns more loudly, but the Cardinals too, they have some pieces where you're obviously the quarterback is the hardest thing, but there's a little bit more young talent than maybe you would expect. And there's definitely more in Cleveland than there is in Arizona. And I think Arizona's probably still 3 years away from being a team that we would consider more relevant when it comes to the playoff picture. And maybe it's 2 years away for Cleveland, but just reviewing rosters and trying to get myself acquainted with these teams, there's more young talent there than you think. Walter Nolan's a good player out there. I think he could have a really good year. So I'm kind of with you. I think that especially more the Browns, but also the Cardinals, they're a long way away, but you see a little bit of a vision.
You do. I think I put the Raiders in that category too, just because, J.T. Bowers, they spent a lot of money on the defense in the offseason. And so, questions at receiver between Naylor and Jack Beck, who, second round pick last year, who didn't really play. That's always concerning. So we're at a point in the NFL where it kind of feels similar to the NBA and how you look at, a bad team in the NBA and it's oh, they got these four guys who can all really play. And I think the NFL is in similar territory with every position except quarterback.
Yeah.
So, all right, Zach, thank you for your time as always, man. What are you working on? What all are you planning on publishing through this week, through the rest of this week and the weekend?
Yeah, a lot of reactions to whatever goes on tonight, tomorrow night, throughout the weekend. Working on some other bigger picture stuff as well. And then, it's here before you know it. So gearing up and getting excited to make some picks and watch some football tonight.
Absolutely. Hey, that's what I'm doing. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. Zach, thanks so much for your time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
That is Zach Pereles. Check him out on X at Zach_Pereles. Go read his stuff at CBSSports.com. Does a great job writing and covering the NFL. We got Colts playing football tonight. We're going to see some young guys, some rookies, maybe a little Ashton Doolin and Nick Westbrook-Akina. We're talking rookies and position battles in 3 minutes.
it may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The Indianapolis Colts play football tonight. First preseason game on the road against New England. I'm fired up about it. I don't know if you are or not, but I can't wait. I think this is going to be just a blast to watch. And Chris, we haven't done much of this kind of content that we're about to get into here.
What do you mean?
Colts are a 3-point favorite.
Really?
They're a 3-point favorite tonight. Lines moved. Originally, the New England Patriots were favored at 1.5. Now it is Colts -3. I'm not betting the game. I don't bet preseason football. I'll be honest. I don't bet a lot of individual games. I'm more of like a futures kind of guy. And so because of that, again, I'm not betting the game. If I was to bet it though, I think I would take the Colts just because I like their backup quarterback situation between Riley Leonard and Anthony Richardson more than I do New England's. Like they're running out, Danny DeVito, Tommy DeVito, son of Danny DeVito. Not really. And Beren Morton. So I would take the Colts to cover. If you had to bet the game tonight, which way would you go?
Oh man, I don't know. It's tough to say because I don't bet preseason games either, and never have. It's too unpredictable. But I don't see them. I don't see either team just barely like winning. I think one or the other is going to have like a 14-point to 17-point win. I don't know which way, and that could be like I don't know, way out of territory, but that's kind of what I'm feeling. I would like to see the Colts win, but I wouldn't be surprised if New England won either, 14 to 17 points. So
if they won by 14 to 17 points,
right?
What is the here? Let me look at what is the scoring line?
Just kind of
go ahead.
I guess kind of based on the Hall of Fame game the other night, right? Like them young quarterbacks, different situation slightly here, but man, they were up and down the field the entire first half. I think it was like 17-14, whatever, at halftime. So not a lot of defense. I think we see a lot more offense than defense tonight between both teams.
It's such an interesting thing, right? Because you're getting backup quarterbacks, you expect to see more defense. But at the same time, like the Hall of Fame game hits the over like every year. I don't know why that is, but it does. And based on the line being -3 and the total over under being at 37.5, Vegas is, I think, trying to tell you that the final score is going to be like 21-17, 20-17, something like that. I think it'll be slightly higher scoring than that.
Yeah, like 28 or
like
28-24 or maybe 28-17, something like that.
I think so, because I think a lot of times whenever people talk football in general, we talk a lot about the offenses, right? Like how much of the offense are the Colts going to show tonight? You know, what are they going to keep close to the vest and all those things, right? Defenses do that too. Like the defenses come out in pretty vanilla, like cover two. If they blitz, it's usually a pretty vanilla thing. And so because of that, I feel like it kind of shifts the offense's way a bit. So I think if I bet anything tonight, and I'm not going to, I would take the over 37.5 points before I bet on the actual spread of who's going to win or not.
I would agree with that. I think everybody's got, it's not just Richardson, right? Everybody's got something to prove. Everybody's trying to get a job on the roster, and everybody's, aggression is a little higher than normal. Those ones that really stand out are the ones that are trying that much harder, and those are the ones that make a difference, obviously.
Absolutely. Timothy Bowman chiming in on X. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can text us 317-228-1430. That is the number. Someone sent us a nice GIF earlier of someone in The Simpsons saying, "I'm just a girl." And you can also tweet at me __ Jonathan Smith. Timothy Bowman saying, in order for the defense to have a good showing tonight, how many turnovers do you want to see and how many sacks do you want to see? Turnovers are a weird thing. I'm a big believer in turnovers or luck more than anything else. If you could consistently generate turnovers, then we would see a consistency in the league every year in terms of the teams that are the best at forcing turnovers. And that's just not the case. It impacts my over-under bets in terms of win totals every single year because having consistent turnover luck is just something that doesn't happen. Okay? So I never really will grade a defense on how they generate turnovers. The sack thing is important because I have talked. Oh, yep.
Sack thing is important, John.
I mean, is it not? How important are testes?
Very important. Get yourselves checked or check yourself.
That's right. Well, if you ask the WNBA, they don't think testes are important at all.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Thank you. So the ability to generate sacks is important for this Indianapolis Colts defensive line because the depth is going to be a major point of discussion all year for this Indianapolis Colts team. Because when you look at the depth chart, you're looking at Jalen Tuimoloau probably backing up Arden Key. Jalen Tuimoloau appeared in 13 games for the Colts last year, didn't register a sack. Behind him, you've got Michael Clemens, a guy who has 8.5 sacks in his career, and it's not like he's in his second year in the league. Like, he's a guy on his second contract. Kobe Wooden is a guy who had half a sack last year for the Packers from the defensive tackle spot. Derek Noddy, older player, like 5 sacks in his career. He's 30 years old. And so seeing what these backup pass rushers are going to look like, I do think is really important tonight. If they can chalk up like 3 or 4 sacks, I think I'd feel pretty good about that. But it also depends on who plays, right? Like if they're running Arden Key and Jalen Tuimoloau out there, then the hope would be that they would, move past 3 or 4 sacks. So that partially depends on who's playing, but 3 or 4, I think is the safe answer.
You know what happens to me every preseason is we do a thorough talk about of these players like we're doing right now. And then I go to watch the game and all of these other people I've never heard of are on the field. Do you ever realize that or is there anybody that we may have missed and we're like, where did this guy come from? You know what I mean?
That'll absolutely happen.
That happens all the time. And I'm just like, who is this?
There's undrafted free agents. So we'll see Wes Weeks on play some linebacker tonight. It's a guy we haven't really talked about. Jerry Tillery, 3rd string defensive tackle. He'll probably play. We'll be like, who is that? Giante McMillan's the backup nickel. We haven't talked about him at all. We may see Nolan Rucci, 3rd string right tackle. This is just kind of something that happens because you have all these undrafted free agents that play. Cam Ball, that is the guy. That is the undrafted free agent that I've had circled the entire time. Defensive tackle at Arkansas, and when he played, was just an animal, absolute monster in the middle of that team's defensive line. The problem with Cam Ball is he gets hurt a lot. And so if he can make it through the preseason and training camp healthy, I do think he is an undrafted free agent that's going to have a chance at making this Colts roster. And so, yeah, we'll see some guys we haven't talked about on the field tonight. Absolutely. Are you
That's fair.
excited to see DJ Montgomery? Because who needs Keenan Allen when you can sign DJ Montgomery?
You know, when one of the Colts options right now at wide receiver is a safety, because they're still talking about putting him in that role tonight. I forget that guy's name. Then yes, I'm excited.
Ben Nickel.
Yeah, then yes. In that situation, I am excited to see DJ Montgomery because he's actually a wide receiver.
There you go. Fair enough. Fair enough. It'll be a fun night though, man. Like, but this is the beauty of the preseason. You're gonna watch tonight, and if you're like me, there's 1,000% going to be some like fourth stringer that's not going to make the roster. And as I watch the game, I'm gonna be like, I kind of like Mitchell Melton. You know,
you see what I'm saying? Like, who these people that you don't hear of that don't even land a spot on the practice squad. Like, it seems like they just come through like, hey, yeah, I'm in town. Put me in a uniform. I'll play for a couple quarters, and then we never hear from him again. Like, where are these people coming from?
Yeah, it's again, they're undrafted free agents. They're guys hanging out, trying to stay in the league. Funny stuff. Buzzer chiming in on X. Again, if you want to be part of the conversation, text us 317-228-1430. You can call that number as well. Or you can tweet at us on X __ Jonathan Smith or at Oreo on air if you want to tweet at Chris. Buzzard saying, I'm dying. Testes Thursday could be the weekly topic for who needs to grow a pair.
Absolutely.
I kind of like this.
We could get Urology of Indiana to sponsor that or something like that.
Hey, man.
Let's do it.
That is Urology of Indiana. That is the first company I ever did any sort of an ad read for. Seriously.
Yeah, Dan
I
used to do those all the time.
I had to do one. It was around March Madness. And it was for vasectomies because March Madness, the opening weekend, it's the best time to get snipped.
Absolutely.
Have you had one?
I have not. I probably should have, but nope, still fertile.
Okay, all right. But no, this is what they say to do because I guess
No, I agree. That would be a great plan because you're on the couch for a couple days.
You have to sit on the couch for
you grab a frozen bag of peas and you hang out on the couch and watch basketball all week.
Is that really what you do?
That's what. Yeah, I mean, you ice your marbles and then you can't go anywhere, so you're watching basketball.
Sounds terrible.
I mean,
ice on your.
What's more terrible though? That couple days of being uncomfortable, or 18 years of a kid saying, "Hey, I need money. I need money." You know what I mean? Choose your battles wisely, Jonathan.
When I was in, so you're exactly right. When I was in high school, one of my teammates, he was 18. He had a sister who was 16, and at the end of the year, I'll never forget him coming in, and he just has this look of shock on his face, and we're like, "Dude, what's wrong?" His name was Caden. What's wrong, Caden? He goes, my mom's pregnant. I was like, oh! Having to reset the clock after 16 years sounds terrible.
Yeah. Yep. That's not something I would wish on. Even though I'm still fertile, I'm on an 18-year streak, and I'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Oh, man, what a time. What a time. We just keep going over, which is a great, great sign. Oh, yeah. All right, we got Colts, Patriots tonight. I told Chris before the show, we're treating this like a Friday show. So we're going to have predictions on who wins the game tonight when we come back in 3 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Give me the Indianapolis Colts to win tonight. They're winning big. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I do like them to win, though, because, again, give me the combination of Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard over the combination of Brett Morton and Tommy DeVito as the backup quarterbacks. Because, as we know, this is a quarterback league. If you have the better quarterback, chances are you're going to win. And I do think that the Colts have the better quarterback combination going tonight, since Drake May will not play for the New England Patriots. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. So I'm taking the Colts. Chris, who do you like tonight?
I'm also going to take the Colts, and it's going to be a higher scoring game. I think 31-18 sounds about right.
31-18. 18. So,
Yeah.
so you think the Colts defense plays well? I'm thinking Colts win like 28-24.
That's also a good possibility. I think, I see the Pats doing some crazy Mike Vrabel stuff, going for two, kind of weird, just to test it out kind of thing.
Honestly, like
Give me a weird score.
I think that if I was an NFL coach in the preseason, I don't think I'd kick a single point after. I think I would go for two every time, just to test run different 2-point conversion plays.
I agree with that. And speaking of, kind of looking forward, we haven't talked about him at all. Blake Grupe, hopefully building on what he did last year here after other dude went down injured. But you ever seen him like in press conferences? Blake Grupe looks like a 12-year-old. He's like a little kid.
No,
he's a good
I haven't
kicker.
seen him at press conferences.
Solid kicker though.
Okay, I mean, a lot of those kickers are small. Like, it's because a lot of them, like, you used to play soccer, and you can be 5'8" and be the best soccer player ever.
Yeah, this guy's the size of like Kyler Murray small. You know what I'm saying? He's like itty bitty guy.
Kyler Murray's like 5'10".
He's small.
Okay.
Kyler Murray's small compared to everybody else on the field. Whenever
That's
he
true.
runs, it looks like a little toddler that stole something.
That's valid. He does, man. He looks like a toddler who stole a cell phone. That's what he runs.
What do you
like.
got? What do you got?
It's like, oh, bring
it
that
here.
back here. And he's gone.
Yeah.
You're not catching him. Oh man. But yeah, so give me the Colts tonight. Obviously watching for Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard this evening, and just how they look on the field. Can Riley Leonard be consistent? Can he look comfortable running the offense? Can he look like a pro? Because if he shows up and he just looks lost, and like that doesn't do anything for anybody. And then with Richardson, I want to see him play with an edge. I want him to have a chip on his shoulder. I want him to show up and be like, why in the world am I competing for a backup job with Riley freaking Leonard? This dude's a scrub compared to me. Not saying he actually thinks that, but sometimes, like, competitively, you have to go to a space like that so that you can, feel good whenever the opportunity arises. So that's what I want to see from him. I want him to play with an edge and just be consistent. Like Chris said earlier, that he would be disappointed if we got like a 10 of 13 for 89 yards and a touchdown from Anthony Richardson. That would be fantastic. I would be elated if we got that.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but
just like in terms of like the conversation,
right?
You would rather come on here tomorrow and be like, Anthony Richardson sucks,
Right? Yeah. Don't give me no mediocre AR. Give me something to talk about.
And I would rather come on here tomorrow and be like, Anthony Richardson's figuring it out, folks. Watch out.
Yeah. I'm good with either.
Hey, man,
but
just be interesting. That's all I want.
I'm not here tomorrow, so I'll have to text you tonight and be like, give you my reaction so you and Jack can talk about it.
You got to go to this stupid wedding.
It's not a stupid wedding. I have a wedding tomorrow, so I won't be here. But Jack will be in here with you tomorrow, and then we'll be back.
We will.
Together next
on Monday.
week.
And
nope, Tuesday.
Oh, you're right. I'm off on Monday. So we'll be back together on Tuesday. And we're announcing something pretty big tomorrow that I'm very excited about. So make sure that you're tuned in to the show. We haven't announced it yet.
You making announcements without me?
I know, man. It's just when the graphic's not ready until tomorrow. Otherwise, we would have just announced it today.
I see.
So But once that's ready, we'll announce it. It's something I think it's going to be really cool. I know it's something that I'm excited about. Looking forward to sharing that with you tomorrow. Chris, what did we learn today on the Real Jonathan Smith Show?
All right, class. What did we learn today?
Well, we just learned that Jonathan likes to make announcements without me being here.
Okay.
Now I know how you really feel. I'm just kidding. This has been the I'm going to go find those cookies edition of the Real Jonathan Smith Show.
Dude, I had 3 of them today. They're delicious.
Oh, man, it's good stuff. We learned that, somebody won the $1 billion Powerball jackpot yesterday, and they were from Illinois. So congrats to them, I guess. I didn't get any of that. We learned that our city has a second pro football team called the Indianapolis Capitals, and they're going to be coached by Mike Vanderjagt, former Colts kicker. I don't know. It might be arena football. I don't know. Continental Football League is not something I've heard of.
I'm pretty sure it's arena football.
But this is the first I've heard of this team. But, whatever. Next season starts in May, so there you go. We learned that did you have something on that?
I did not know.
Okay. We learned that a bucket hat is not the same thing as a hat similar to what Abe Lincoln wore. So there's that. We learned that Ulysses Bentley the Fourth is a legit name and everybody likes it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We learned that sacks are important, which we kind of already knew, but good to refamiliar yourselves with that. We know that we learned that Jonathan likes to call people dumb.
Okay.
In his spare time.
In my spare time. Okay. Yeah.
Brings him happiness. And we know now that my idea of a good pickup line is, hey, baby, write your number down before I don't want it no more.
That's a good, I like it, man.
I mean, now you would say like text or whatever, like give me your phone. But back in my day, when I used to rizz up back in the 90s, we used to write down phone numbers. But that's what I learned today. How about you, Jonathan?
I heard that you're more of a hateful radio guy than you are a positive one. You know.
Who, me?
Yeah.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means that you would rather come in here tomorrow and be like, Anthony Richardson stinks, as opposed to Anthony Richardson's so clearly gotten better.
Well, until he proves himself, yeah, I'll probably be a little hateful towards him. Everybody's got something to prove.
Fair enough. That'll do it on the Real Jonathan Smith Show. I'll be in tomorrow with Jack. Chris will be off DJing a wedding. I'm sure he'll have a great time doing that. But we'll be talking Colts and Patriots all day tomorrow. Preseason, Anthony Richardson, Riley Leonard, and so much more. Zach Hicks is set to join me at 1 o'clock tomorrow to talk about everything that happens tonight. We will talk to you at noon tomorrow. See you then.